Hey Internet people, welcome to the 3D Printer YouTube channel. Today I wanted to go over some tips and tricks on how to design and print these 120mm CPU fans, which you can probably use on printing any type of propeller fan. So the first tip would be to make a flat trailing edge, and that sounds kind of counterintuitive. Usually you'd want it as thin as possible, but if you make a flat surface and coincident with the fan bottom as well, you can actually make a nice surface to print on. And that leads into the second tip, which is the minimum width of your model, which should be equal to the nozzle diameter or extrusion width that you're going to use. I'm using just a normal 0.4 here, and that works out really well because most slicers can do thin wall extrusions, which means it'll start here, end here, stop printing and go print something else. Whereas normally, at least a couple of years ago, your slicer would have to see a 0.8mm wall, go out this direction and come back. So these days it's pretty easy to print thinner models like that. And it's not too bad when it's a flat trailing edge at that 0.4mm thickness. The third tip would be to use a brim. And you can see that here. I've already removed some of it, but the tools I use are just a simple knife, needle nose, and these end cutters, which you can come in. I like to cut the brim off at the side here, which I've already done, and then clip these little ears. See if that can focus off the model. And once you've got those ears up, you can just grab them with a needle nose instead of cutting them off with a knife. And it's really awesome to have a good way to do this because you can end up having to do it a lot depending on how many blades you have in your fan. So just go through, grab the edge with the thin end of the pliers, and just rotate it until it's gone up. You can do that the whole way, and then you can use the knife to come back and trim it down to that single thin wall that you had. So you just clip the end off and come back with a knife, which I'm not going to do while looking through the camera. That just leads, the last tip I have is for the layer height. I've had a lot of success at 0.12. I like using multiples of 0.04 because that works really well with a lot of the stock lead screws that Cartesian printers are using. You can go down to 0.08. You just probably don't want to do that unless your fan pitch is too low, because the lower layer heights will really print the low pitch blades really well. And you can actually go into your print preview on most slicers, zoom up on the bottom surface of the fan right here, and actually make sure that none of the layers are unsupported. If they are, just decrease the layer height, and you won't have to measure anything. Just look at the proportions of the extrusion widths in the print preview, and you'll be able to see whether or not you'll need any supports, and you likely won't if you're printing at 0.12mm. I've printed down to 0.08 without any issues, so most of your cheap printer boards will do that. And yeah, this is for the major hardware fan design competition, so hopefully people can use this to help make more easily printable and post-processable fans. It turns out pretty well once you get it all sanded down. Here's one of my earlier fan designs, but I'm going to be testing out these two new fans, which are using a custom airfoil I created. So I redesigned the optimization to be triple checked by Xfoil, which really helps at these low Reynolds numbers, around 15,000. So yeah, there's a reason bees aren't soaring around. They're flapping their wings because things don't really fly or push air that well at these low speeds. So keep tuned for that. Hit like and subscribe and hit the bell notification icon, and keep an eye out for my next video. Thanks. Bye.